Hello, everybody. Welcome to Popping the Popcorn. I'm your host, Katie, and today we will be talking about Universal and Halloween Horror Nights. And I have one of my friends on here, Breanna. How you doing, Breanna?
Hey, I'm doing good.
How's your week going?
Oh, my week's going good. It's been long and busy after taking a vacation that never feels like a vacation because it's so busy, and then going straight back to work. But overall, it's been a good week.
Well, that's good. I'm glad you had a great week. So Breanna just got back from a coast to coast. You went to Disney too, right?
Yep. Walt Disney World, Disneyland, Universal Studios, Hollywood, and Universal Orlando.
So she just got back from her vacation, so we will be talking about that and some of our favorite Halloween Horror Night houses and just Universal in general. So, how was your trip overall?
Overall, it was a great trip. It was long. I don't know if I could ever swing that again because I was dead at the end. But it was so good. I think the weather was against us in Florida, at least for Universal days. I don't know what the weather in Florida has against me in Universal, but it rains all the time. And this trip, it wasn't even like the typical Florida, like 10-minute downpour, 5-minute
Right.
downpour. It rained all day or very close or for hours. So we had a downpour that lasted over an hour. And I mean downpour, like every single item in my bag was wet. I had an umbrella
Wow.
and a rain jacket, and my clothes were still wet under both of those.
Oh, wow.
And my shoes were completely soaked that they had to dry for like 2 days afterwards.
That's crazy.
It was insane. I
It
have
must
never experienced that before.
it must have been one of those sideways rains then,
Yeah, yeah.
because Florida, it's weird. Florida weather's weird. I live down in Florida, so down here I'm used to like that or kind of thing, but the way the wind shapes is it kind of just basically just goes into like this like rain where either the wind will blow it sideways or it will just come down normal. So you were in sideways rain. That's why all
Yes.
your stuff got wet.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was like, also my friend and I were sharing the umbrella, so there was only so much space that we could cover, but like we also everyone else just took well, not I shouldn't say everyone, but the majority of people just took cover. But we were like, we have our raincoats, we have our umbrella, like let's go for it, because all we read Horror Nights that night when this happened, and all the lines went down to like an extremely low weight, and we're like, well, we've got to take advantage, like we've got all this stuff, we prepared, let's go.
Right. Right.
And we didn't realize, like, we each have Loungefly backpacks. My Loungefly backpack usually keeps stuff decently, like keeps stuff dry during a normal rain, but this was just too much. It was too much rain, and it soaked through the Loungefly backpack. It soaked through everything that I
Wow.
had in the backpack. Like,
Wow. That's why in Florida what I do is I insulate the I know I'm weird, but I insulate the backpack with another poncho. So I have like two ponchos and I put the poncho on the bottom of the backpack so that way it doesn't get soaked.
that's smart. I used to carry a bigger backpack, and it had its own like rain cover that you could put on it, and I definitely took advantage of that in Florida. But especially now, well, yeah, especially now in the last, I don't remember how many years it's been, the last few years, Universal has made their lockers for their rides even smaller
Yeah,
than
they
they used
have.
to be. And so it's definitely, so I've been trying to downsize the backpacks that I take. So
Right.
I'm not having to like pay for the bigger lockers or like destroy my backpacks in the lockers by ripping them or something. So
Right. I honestly think they should just do what Disney does and just let you carry it on.
yeah, it's like a lot of their, I mean, I understand roller coasters, it's the same thing at like, like a Six Flags or like a Cedar Point or something. Like you have to put your bags away. The
Mhm.
carts are not made for bags, but there are a couple that I was like, this should be okay. Like there's not really a reason that you shouldn't be able to take your bag on like Men in Black.
Right.
Um, there's I'm trying to think of another one, but I was like, I definitely like understand the coasters, but there are just some that are like, no,
Right.
this is a little ridiculous.
Right, exactly. So I have not been on this ride, but did you go on Hagrid's magical bike ride?
Yes, I did. I don't think I went on this trip, but I've definitely been on it multiple times previously. We went. a couple months after it opened. We didn't get to go like the summer that it opened. We went later that summer. I think it opened in May or June, and we went in August. And we waited nearly 4 hours for the ride.
That's crazy.
Every other time we have waited, it's been about 45 minutes to an hour and a half, depending. But the last few times have been around 45 minutes, so the line has definitely got a lot shorter. But it's so good. They really did well with that ride. There's if people haven't wrote it and they don't want spoilers, then I would skip a few seconds. But I was like, there is a section where you are stuck in oh my gosh, the plant from the first book that
the mandrake.
Not the mandrake. It's the plant that they get stuck in when they jump through the hole, like the trap door.
Oh, Devil's Snare.
Devil's Snare, yes. And you get stuck in that on the ride, and then you drop through it like they do in the movie. So like does a straight down drop, which is really cool. And then it has a backward section, kind of like Everest and Disney. And the speeds get insane. I remember the very first time I rode, the track doesn't stop. So like the cart is moving as you're like loading onto it. And the team member is like yelling at my cousin and I. She's like, tuck in your lanyards, tuck in your lanyards. I was like, what is she meaning? And then I realized we took off, and my lanyard that was around my neck that holds like my key, because that's what you use to open and close the lockers, you got to keep it with you, like spun around my neck and is like flying behind me.
That's funny.
I was like, I understand now.
Yeah, that would have been bad if you lost it. I don't know what you would have done.
I don't know. I was like, I guess it was my annual pass. I probably could have reprinted it, but it would have been a story where they'd have been like, why weren't you listening to people? And I was like, I don't know. I was stressed. Like I was trying to like get on the ride, and I'm a plus size person. So Universal always makes me nervous with their rides. So I'm always like, stressed that I'm not going to fit. So I'm like, just hoping that I'm going to fit on this ride. And then they're like yelling at me about a lanyard. And I'm like, I've never done this before. What?
Right. That's funny.
So it's like, now I know. Now I am prepared and have my lanyard tucked into my shirt when I get on.
I've been on this one. I like Gringotts a lot because that's really cool how you go through the Wizard Bank and stuff like that.
Yeah, they did really well with that ride too. It's definitely got some immersion to it. A little bit of a coaster.
It reminds me of the Mummy ride a little bit. It's kind of the same.
Yeah, you don't really get the speed that you do on the Mummy, but it's kind of sorry, I'm like hiccuping. I really do like that. It's a lot of fun.
And I like the dragon at the top where it blows out the fire.
Yes.
That's really cool. And the first time I seen it, was like, wait, I didn't even know. I was like looking, and I was like, my friend's like, you do know the dragon just went off. I'm like, no, it doesn't go off. And my friend's like, yes, it does. I'm like, no, it doesn't. And then next thing I know, I see this fire out of the corner of my eye. I was like, oh, you didn't. He was like, yeah, you thought I was lying, didn't you? And I was like, no, but I didn't believe you. It's so funny. And then I just like the whole Diagon Alley. I think the whole Diagon Alley is so cool.
Diagon Alley is absolutely insane. I was like, I know people give me a lot of flack, but I was like, Diagon Alley beats out absolutely every other immersion piece of park anywhere. Beats out Star Wars Land. It beats out Avengers Campus at Disney. It beats out Hogsmeade even. Like, I mean, Diagon Alley is it. Like, it is top tier. I don't think they could have done better. Like,
yeah, like I like how they like made it, and they also made Nocturne Alley too in there. And I think it's like really cool how you're so immersed in this like world of Harry Potter, and how like everything's like Harry Potter. Like you could go get, like, if you wanted to, you could go get butterbeer. Do you like the butterbeer?
I love the butterbeer, especially the frozen and the hot butterbeer. Those are my favorites.
I have not tried the hot butterbeer, but I've tried the frozen one, and I tried like the one that's not frozen.
Yeah, it was like, that one's probably my least, I think they just call it cold, but I was like, that one's fine, but the frozen's really good. And then the hot butterbeer, I've heard they started serving it at Orlando year round. I did not try to get it the last time because it was like 90 degrees the entire time. But I did get it in California this last trip, because we went from Orlando where it was 90 some degrees every day to California where it was like 70 every day, and we were freezing. So it was nice.
So which Harry Potter world do you like better? Do you like California or do you like Universal? I mean,
Oh,
Orlando.
Orlando. And California only has Hogsmeade, and even their Hogsmeade's a bit. It seems smaller. I really don't know if it is or not. It just feels smaller. Probably because it doesn't have Hagrid's, so like there's that section that just like they have like the door and like the archway like where you walk into like Hagrid's ride, and it's just like a closed door that has like it has a spell like you can do with the interactive wands. So that's all that's there in that spot.
Gotcha.
So it's just like it's a little sad when you don't see the coaster there.
Right. Do they have the Forbidden Journey there still?
They do. They have the Forbidden Journey. I think only California tried this. They tried to make it a 3D ride where you wear 3D glasses. And I don't know if it made everyone sick or what happened, but they took it away like instantly. Like they were
wow.
no more 3D. We're taking the glasses out. We're turning it back to like normal. Like
right. I mean, like, I like the Forbidden Journey. I like how you can interact with the castle and the castle interacts with you and stuff. That's really cool. And you get to see Harry, Ron, and Hermione in the castle. Hogwarts, well, not really a castle, but it's Hogwarts. But also that ride, I don't like where my feet dingle, and this ride my feet dingle, and I felt like, and you feel like you're on a broomstick, like you're on a Nimbus 2000. And I just felt like this ride to me, I don't know. I mean, like, I liked it, but I just didn't like the fact that my feet were dangling and I felt like I was gonna fall.
This is another one. I mean, a lot of rides make me motion sick. So I was like, if you are not a person that gets motion sick, like you probably think I'm crazy when I say this about every ride, but I will say it about like 90% of Universal rides. But this one also makes me extremely motion sick. I have to like take a seat afterwards and like sit down. Like after I'm done, I'm like, all right, it's time to like take a break and sit in Hogsmeade for a little while because I'm not moving.
Right. Have you ever been to the wand shop and ever been chosen for one of the wands?
I have. I went on a solo trip in like February 2018, I think. 2019, something like that. And I went in like one early morning. I was just walking around and I was like, oh, let's go into the shop. And I got chosen and I bought my wand. So I have my wand from that trip.
That's awesome. Which one do you have?
Well, those ones are like original ones. I don't remember what it's technically supposed to be made of. But I also have Hermione's character wand and Sirius Black's.
I have Sirius Black's and I have Bellatrix wand. I just like Bellatrix wand because it's really interesting.
I was gonna say some just have a lot of really cool designs. Like even if I don't care about the character that much, their wands are really cool.
Right. I want the Elder wand. Yeah. That one looks really cool. You know. So what's your favorite ride at Universal? Do you have a favorite ride?
Right now it's probably Velocicoaster.
I haven't been on it.
Oh god, it's insane. I have never been on a ride one that I feel like goes that fast that literally moves you out of your seat like in a coaster form. Like it's just they did so well with this ride. Like
so did they take out the other Jurassic Park ride too?
No, the thing is I remember like no, they've still got the original Jurassic Park ride. They still have like the little kid pterodon flyers or whatever it's called ride. And they literally, I remember when they were building this, like you saw the walls go up and like, you know, they made the joke about, oh, it's a churro stand. And we were all like, all right, we know you're building something. And then as we realized, like, it's a coaster. And then like literally it's done. And I'm like, I can't believe they had the space for this ride. And I was like, well, one, they really didn't. They literally just built this ride through the park. Like they are still there's a point where they had to put plants up because it's where the line goes and then the coaster goes by and people were trying to reach out to the people on the coaster. So they literally had to put plants up. And then there's another section. This was even after I went. So it was like quite a few weeks after it had opened. They ended up having to put like a cage up over the trail where people were walking and where the coaster's over top. So it's literally something like they like realized how close they were building this to like that are just walking around. Like,
that's
or
crazy.
In lines, so
that's crazy. So is the Velocicoaster like the Busch Gardens ride? What is it? The one that has that like big drop?
I've never been to Busch Gardens, so I'm not sure.
I forget what the name of the ride is, but they have like this big like drop, like it's huge, and you're like on an incline and you drop down.
This one's got a decent drop, but the main sequence of there's a lot of thrills in this ride. One thing, it like never slows down. You know, like how you'll hit like those like little sections in a roller coaster and it kind of slows you down. No, this speeds you up when you hit those. It does not slow down. It will speed you up when you hit those sections. The main the section that everyone talks about on the track is the corkscrew. So it's only a lap bar. It does not have like the big piece that's around your chest. It just has a lap bar. So like you are holding onto that lap bar and you go through a complete like corkscrew and you lift off your seat. Like you are you are airborne during this corkscrew. Like
wow. So I don't even know if I would ride this ride. I mean, like I like roller coasters, but if I'm not strapped in with like one of those things that are above your head, I don't know if I'd be riding that, because if it's only a lap bar, I'd be freaking out the whole time, especially going through that corkscrew. So I'll have to watch it.
Yeah, definitely watch. I was like, there's a lot of people that were hesitant but still loved it. But yeah, like I've been to like I've been to Six Flags and I've been to like Cedar Point, like all these places that are very, famous for roller coasters. And this is the most like thrilling roller coaster that I've ever been on.
Right. How fast do you think you go on it?
I know it says it's like 60 or something. Let me look. But yeah, you go you're supposed to, so like the kind of the ride is that you are 70. You get up to 70 miles per hour.
Oh wow.
on it.
Yeah. That's even faster than Rock and Roller Coaster.
Yeah.
So then you're basically in a car on that ride.
Yeah, you are going as fast as you would be going on the highway, or should
crazy.
be going on the highway. Let's be fair. Okay.
So, right. Yeah, that's crazy. I'll have to check that ride out. I'll have to see it in person just to see how, see if I'm gonna go on it or not. Because the ride was in Busch Gardens, the SheiKra. So the SheiKra has this like big drop.
Okay.
Down. I don't go on that one because I do not like the drop on that ride. I refuse to go on that ride. And that's what it was called. At Busch Gardens. Busch Gardens has a lot of roller coasters as well. One of my favorite rides is the Mommy ride. I just love that ride. I know the movies are okay, and a lot of people like the movies and some people don't, because a lot of people don't like Brendan Fraser. But the Mummy ride is just so cool. I just love that ride.
Yeah, the Mummy is also a good one. It's got so many pieces to it. It's like you go backwards, you spin around, like you have like there's multiple launches. Like it's just it's really good. And yeah, there's intricate rooms. Like I love the part where it like fakes that you're done. So like you think that you're like it's trying to announce that you're like getting off the ride, and then it takes off again.
Yes. My favorite room is the fire room, where you're like in this room with all the fire around you, and it looks like you're almost gonna catch on fire or something.
Yeah, and I mean it's hot. Like I mean, there's real fire on the ceiling, and it gets hot in there.
Like on cold days, I like going in that ride and just sitting in that fire room in Florida, because at night sometimes it gets cold here. And I mean, like to you northern people, you guys would be like, this isn't nothing. But to me, because I'm a Floridian, I'm like, nope, I'm just let me sit here all day. I'll just sit here in this fire room all day.
Oh man.
And then my also favorite ride, because I love this movie, it's a guilty pleasure of mine, the Men in Black ride. It's so much fun. And you're shooting aliens.
It's probably my favorite shooting game that's out. I don't know. So we count. The new Spider-Man one at DCA is also up there in like the shooting games. But I love Men in Black. I'm still not very good at it, and I've rode it for years, but that's just kind of how I am at all shooting games.
So what do you think of the web slingers at Disneyland?
I think it's a lot of fun. It's a workout because you do have to use your arms the entire time, but it's like a team game. So like Men in Black, you're like, you're kind of facing off between like the people in your car. But in web slingers, you're trying to get like a score for your car. So like you're really
Gotcha.
working with everyone. So it's like
Mhm.
also, I mean, everyone's competitive. So, you still want to be the top person, but like you're still trying to get
Right.
the scores that show at the end are like your team scores. So you're really trying to get for your team.
Gotcha. And so, did you get the extra like web slinger thing, or did you just?
No, I haven't yet. I keep thinking that I want to, and the more that I write it, I probably will. It was kind of one of those things where it's like, I don't know how many times I'm going to write it in a year, so like, is it worth getting it? Like, I only carry a little backpack with me, so am I going to carry it around the park with me all the time? Like, those kind of things.
Right.
So,
Gotcha.
but I am sure at some point I will cave and buy it because I'm
Right.
more and more curious. Like, I want to get on like a car with someone that has it because I want to see it. Like, I want to know how it works. Like,
Right. It looks interesting, but I don't
it
know if I
does.
want to carry that big old thing around the park.
Yeah, it was like that's just like the thing. It was like I carry my little lounge fly with me, and I'm just like, that takes up a good
Right.
amount of room in there. Like, I don't know.
Right. So which Halloween Horror Nights did you like better? The one in California or the one in Orlando?
Oh, Orlando. Honestly, California. I've been going coast to coast to Horror Nights since 2018, and 2018 Hollywood's was just bad. Like, it was fine, but like nothing, absolutely nothing compared to Orlando. 2019, Hollywood stepped it up a little bit. They had 2 original houses, and they had put in more houses than they normally do. And honestly, they were doing really well. And then 2021, obviously we didn't have anything in 2020. Well, Orlando had a little bit, but 2021, there were probably 2 houses. There was a definite one house that I enjoyed a lot more in Hollywood than I did in Orlando. And Hollywood or Orlando didn't have it, but Hollywood had The Exorcist as one of the houses. And I guess for people that had been going for a little bit longer than I had, it was a repeat house. But I had never been through it, and they did a phenomenal job. It was an excellent house. So Hollywood is definitely stepping up. And overall, I really don't know if they're ever, like, as an overall event, I don't know if they'll ever beat Orlando for me. But individual houses are starting to become really good there that I am very happy with, and like always keep going.
Well, Orlando has more room than Hollywood does.
Yeah, it's like Orlando has more room. They have more empty sound stages that they can use. They have different teams working on it. I obviously don't know the behind the scenes, but I was like, I can guarantee a bigger budget by probably a lot. Like,
well, they also have to because Hollywood still does movies on their sets, so they still have to kind of be careful.
Yeah, I don't know if it was for any sort of filming reasons or if they just were trying out some new stuff, but there's an often point where during HHN in Hollywood that you go down to like the back lot, and that's where they put some of the houses. They didn't have that this year. They didn't use that section. So I was like, I don't know if this is because of they're needing that back lot for filming or if they just wanted to try putting it somewhere different, but they ended up putting 2 houses in like an empty parking lot that they had to clear out, which is kind of interesting.
That is interesting.
Yeah. Like,
I don't know how I feel about that.
It was literally like, at first, because I heard someone being like, oh, you don't have to walk all that way back to the back lot. Well, walking back to that random parking lot was a long walk. I was like, it was worse than walking to the back lot. And then there was nothing fun back there. As like the back lot, when they do it back there, there's like food and lights and music, and there's usually a scare zone and 2 to 3 houses back there. Like, I was like, I loved it back there. It's a place that I usually go and like hang out for the night, like when I'm, pretty much finished getting through all the houses. So I was really sad that they didn't have the back lot open.
That's interesting. But I would think that they would put it there because why would they make you walk? You've been walking all day. Why would they make you walk even more? Yeah,
it's definitely just a space thing. And I'm not fully sure why they didn't use the back lot. I'm hoping that they'll bring that back next year because I like it.
Right.
I like it. So they should do it for me. Like,
Right.
Personal.
Yeah, if anybody from Universal Studios Hollywood's listening, you better make it.
Right,
I'm only
just for me.
I'm only kidding. But I also think that Orlando should make Halloween Horror Nights into Islands of Adventure, just because it'd be cool, like, to have two different parks that you could go to, and maybe do like different themed houses in that park or something, and just make it like bigger, and maybe do something with like the Marvel land that's there or something.
Yeah, one, it's getting so crowded that it'd be nice. I'm willing to pay a bit more for my ticket to have double the space. It would be a lot of walking though. My God, actually, now that I'm thinking of it, I was like, whew, that's a lot of walking. But
you could maybe like split it into 2 days.
I would have. I mean, I usually spend a minimum of 3 days at Horror Nights in Hollywood or in Orlando, because there's just too much, and I want to be able to take it in. We spent 2 full nights and then like 2 half nights on this trip, and we still only got through all the houses once.
Or maybe they can change the Hogwarts Express into like a Halloween themed like something, you know,
a little overlay. It would be fun.
Yeah, I don't know if they can actually like change it, but they could do something, I'm sure.
Yeah, it was like, I mean, they've already got like the Dementor section on the train. They can just kind of keep that going for the entire little ride over.
Right. Yeah.
Sometimes that line gets so long that I just walk anyway, because I was like, you want me to stand 2 hours in the line, but I can walk over there in like less than 15 minutes? Like, no.
Right.
But I do love riding the Hogwarts Express. But yeah,
it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is. But yeah, I do kind of wonder if Horror Nights will get to that point where they really do need to expand. Because it is like, I know this year was a little different because it was the 30th anniversary and they didn't really have anything last year. They opened up 2 houses during the day for a couple weeks, but they did not have a Horror Nights last year. So, you know, there's all these people, you know, that was really wanting to go. And I always go in September because it's less busy, and I usually always try to not go on Saturdays. This trip I had to go. Yeah, this trip I did have to go on a Saturday, and it was rough. It was, I mean, we pretty much did nothing but stand in line for houses. And we got through like 4, maybe 5 houses that night. We did also get to watch the show, so that was nice. But it was also very packed. Like, I mean, they literally closed off part of the sidewalks just to let people out of the show. And they packed every single space on those bleachers. It's in the Fear Factor stage, the show is. So it's a pretty big area for seating wise, and it was packed every single show. Like,
what kind of show was it?
It's another dance show. They dropped the one
they dropped group. Bill and Ted.
Well, they dropped Bill and Ted, and then they had Academy of Villains, and they don't know if they even made an official announcement, but a lot of things came out about Academy of Villains, a lot of toxic culture and stuff that was happening behind the scenes by their owners and stuff, and it was bad. So they dropped them, and they had a new dance crew come in for a show, and honestly, it was really good. It's a little different. Like you said, to props to every performer that worked on Academy of Villains. It is not their fault that they were in a group with owners that were just not good people. And they were great performers in this show. It was still very good, but it was not Academy of Villains. So there was like points where I was very, very happy with the show and I loved it. And then there was points where I was just like, it's not the same. But overall, I'm so glad that they're not using Academy of Villains anymore. And I'm hoping that all those performers were able to have new opportunities.
I remember when I went, there was also a Beetlejuice show. I used to like that show too.
The graveyard something. I don't remember, but I did remember watching it and I liked it.
Yeah, because Beetlejuice is one of my favorite characters for Halloween, and he's just funny anyway.
Yeah,
I guess that's kind of weird thing to say. Beetlejuice is funny, but he's not supposed to be funny though. Really,
I feel like he's supposed to be funny.
But
it's a different. It's not your everyday humor, but he's
right.
definitely supposed to be funny.
Do you like Rift Ride Rocket? Do you like that roller coaster?
I do like that roller coaster. I like getting able to pick my songs. I haven't rode it in a while, because again, I don't know what the universe has against me when I go to Orlando, but it's always raining and it gets shut
Right.
down and there's
Maybe
lightning.
it's telling you not to go to the named park.
I know, because
not
it
the named
literally
park.
doesn't rain in Disney. So I think it is. It's like you're not supposed to be here.
Wait, what are you doing at the no named park that we
Right.
should not be mentioning?
Yeah. Literally, I mean, it rained, I think, every day we were at Horror Nights, and then we did 3 days in Disney after we were done with Horror Nights, and it did not rain a single day.
Right. Did you get to see some of the 50th stuff at Disney?
Yeah, like, so, it was just like them kind of transitioning to everything. So we got, the decorations, a good amount of the merch was out, and all of the statues were up, the 50th, like golden statues of the characters.
Right.
That was pretty much the bulk of what we got to see, because we left, what was it, like in the middle of September, so
gotcha.
Anniversary.
Right. So, what rides at Hollywood Universal do you like? Because I don't know what rides are there.
They really have a lot of the same. They have the Mummy that's quite a bit different. It's a bit shorter, but I feel like it's a bit faster in sections, but it's also shorter. So it's like, pick and choose where you like. I still think I like Orlando's overall more.
Mm-hmm.
But I do like the one at Hollywood. They also have the Minions ride and Transformers that are the exact same thing in Orlando and Hollywood. They have Forbidden Journey. That's the same thing. They have the Hippogriff roller coaster, which I have not rode in quite a long time. I do feel like it's a little different, but like not extreme. Like it's such a short little like kid roller coaster anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I do think it's a smidge different. I don't know. There's something that feels different about it. And I know the seats are different, so maybe it's just the way I sit that it feels a little different. I don't fully know. And it's been too long for me to like really think fully of comparison. What else do they have? They do not have a lot. I mean, it is a very small park. It is a working studio. So they have the studio tour, which is a lot of fun. If I had to say, that's my favorite thing to do there because it's so different. And I like doing the studio tour. They also opened their Secret Life of Pets ride, which is phenomenal. It's so cute.
Interesting.
It's the story is that like you're a puppy and you're going through and they're helping you go to an adoption show and get adopted. So
that's really cool.
It's really cute. Oh my gosh. That's about it. They have Jurassic Park that they have transformed into Jurassic World. So it's kind of like the same basic ride as like the Jurassic Park ride in Orlando, but it has now been transformed and updated to Jurassic World. And there's a new scene that they'd recently put in of the T-Rex and the the new dinosaur that they created in Jurassic World. They're fighting each other.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
I'll shout out the name probably 10 minutes from now.
That's always what happens.
Right.
That happened with me with the Sheikah with Busch Gardens. So,
yeah.
Hey.
Yep.
So do you you've been to both parks, so do you like Islands of Adventure as well?
I do like Islands of Adventure. There's something that I don't know why I always will like the atmosphere at Universal Studios Florida, like more than Islands of Adventure. But I mean, there's such great rides over at Islands of Adventure, and you get into like the little immersive lands. There's just like, I like the Dr. Seuss section, but it's it's not geared towards me.
Right.
But it's still cool to watch.
Yeah.
It's still really. Oh, go ahead.
I call that ride, that Dr. Seuss ride, I call it the big comfy couch ride, but it's not really a comfy couch ride, but my cousin came up with that name when she was little, so now we just call it the big comfy couch Dr. Seuss ride.
I like it. I like the little train ride that you can take because it's up high, so you can come see the park. Then one of my favorite little facts that they did, they took palm trees that were damaged in hurricanes and that were like growing in like now like bent, and put them in the
Mhm.
Dr. Seuss land to like give them a little extra life. So I thought that
Right.
was cute. Using like a
Right.
natural source of like a plant that was, growing differently.
Mhm. And
Um,
then
Good.
and then if you go around Christmas time, the Grinch is there, and that's really cool to see the
Oh,
Grinch.
that's fun. That is one thing I have never. Yeah, no, I've never been to Florida during Christmas time. I've been thinking about it. Maybe this year I might make a quick trip down. If not, definitely next year. But I need to see Disney and Universal during Christmas.
Yeah, it's really cool to see the Grinch because he walks around and he kind of like has a parade. Like you're like when he's around, you're kind of like a Whoville person. And it's really cool.
Oh, fun. I love the Grinch.
And then I also get green eggs and ham when I'm in the Dr. Seuss land.
Nice. I have not yet. I was like, eggs and ham are like literally neither of those are my favorite foods by any means.
Well, I don't really like ham, but I was like, it's green, why not? They just dye it green, but I was like, why not? And then the Dudley Do Right ride? The water ride?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So this was like around Christmas time, and we were at the park all day. And my dad's like, you want to go on this ride with me? My dad and my aunt are like, do you want to go on this ride with me? And I was like, I guess. I don't know what I'm getting myself into or whatever. So we get inside the log, and me and my dad and my aunt are on this ride. And I didn't know that this ride gets you more soaked than Popeye.
Mm-hmm.
It like has like water like coming from the top. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And you get so soaked in this ride. And it's like 70, 60 out in Florida at this time. And I was like so mad. Now it's kind of funny, but I was so mad. And my dad's like, did you know this ride was going to have a drop and you get really wet? And I was like, no, I've never been on this ride.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of water rides at parks because of that reason. I was like, I don't like walking around wet afterwards. I don't like being cold, or I was like, even if it's like 90 some degrees, it's like then I just dry sticky because it's humid out and it's gross. And I was like, it's not my favorite thing. But my cousin, she's younger than me, by about 10 years, so she's really into it. So I always tell her, I was like, all right, we're picking one like mid-afternoon. We will ride every single water ride as much as you want to ride it, and then we're going straight back to the hotel so I can shower and get dried off.
Yeah.
And then we will come back to the parks if we want to later. And so that's what we do. We will bring minimal clothing. I wear like athletic wear that like can dry and like wear sandals, and we ride them until we are drenched, and then we go back and change.
Well, so my dad has this bright idea. You know those air things that are there? Those air like things that you can walk into? Yeah. So he's like, oh, this will dry your clothes off. And I'm like, no, I don't think it's gonna get that hot. Nope. He hit the money in there, and we're like both standing in there. Nope, it didn't. Then my cousin goes, let's go on Spider-Man. So I'm dripping wet going on Spider-Man, and I'm freezing cold.
Gonna say, I was like, that ride is pure air condition. Like,
I'm like freezing cold the whole time, and my dad's like, what's wrong with you? Why are you chatting your teeth? I'm freezing. What do you think? It's not cold in here. I'm fine. I'm like, well, that's you.
Yeah, I am not. Like, I just,
I'm like, can I go to the hotel now? I want to change. And he's like, no. And I'm like, yes. I'm like, it's 4:00 in the afternoon. I want a hot shower. Let's go. And he's like, no, we're not done yet.
Oh no, yeah, I have to.
So I had to wait 2 more hours being soaking wet. I was so mad.
Yeah, I was like, it is not.
Now it's kind of funny, but I was so mad at the time.
Yeah, I can't like those. Like, yeah, especially Popeyes and that log ride. I mean, you get a little wet depending on where you sit on Jurassic Park, and I was like, or you can get really wet depending on where you sit on Jurassic Park. But it is nothing compared to those 2 rides.
For some reason, every time I sit on Jurassic Park, my butt gets wet.
Yeah, it's like the seats are just wet, so it's like it's inevitable when you sit down. It's like, yeah, my butt's gonna be wet.
I get soaked a little bit, and my butt's wet, and I'm like, who wants wet butt?
I know.
I'm like, I don't want that. And then for some reason on Cali Rapids, that's at Disney World, at Animal Kingdom, and Popeyes, I get soaked on those rides too.
Yeah, I know it's one of those things where it's, I mean, you're always going to get wet, but like it is luck of the draw on what seat you get and really how wet you're going to get because they're very similar. And you can be going right under a waterfall or you can miss it. Like,
right. Yeah. So because of those reasons, I learned my lesson not to go in the wintertime. So in the wintertime, I do not do any water rides. Nope. You go on it. I'll wait for you. I'll hold your stuff. I don't care. Or I'll find something else to do and meet you back after the ride.
Yep.
Tell me how long the wait is, and I'll go on something different, or I'll just wait there for you. Nope. Not in the wintertime. No more water rides for me.
Well, we'll be perfect because I will not make you go on any water rides.
You know. But I just like I actually prefer Islands of Adventure over Universal just because it's a bigger park and there's a lot more to do. But I mean, like, I still like the classic Universal because I grew up with it, and I grew up with like going to like the Nickelodeon building and stuff like that. They should actually turn that into a haunted house. They're not doing anything with it, so they might as well turn that into something.
They really should. It's just sitting there. Yeah, Universal. There's I know it's cheesy and a lot of people don't like it, but I love the horror makeup show. I will watch it multiple times on a trip.
Yeah, I love that show too.
Yeah, we kind of talked about the rides, and then of course Diagon Alley is on that side.
I do like Fast and the Furious ride.
It's fine. I wish it didn't look like an old video game. Like, I feel like we've hit so much technology with rides and even 3D rides and screen rides, and it just looks like it was a video game from like the early to mid 2000s, and I was like, we could have done better, guys. That is like my biggest gripe with it, is that it doesn't match the rides that are out there now. I was like, we have so many realistic rides. I was like, with screens or with animatronics, I was like, we have so many cool realistic looking rides, and this one looks bad. It looks like a video game.
So do you think they should have just kept Terminator then?
What that used to be, what, a Disaster?
Terminator. No, Disaster's the Jimmy Fallon ride.
So this one was the
This one was the Fast and the Furious ride at Universal is used to be Terminator.
I thought Jimmy Fallon was Twister, and then Disaster was.
Oh, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
Terminator. I'm trying to remember where Terminator was. Terminator was the show, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's they have the new show. That's the Bourne show.
Oh, duh. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Sorry, people. I'm mixing my stuff up today.
I had to think about all the buildings because I get Twister and Disaster mixed up constantly.
Right. Disaster wasn't that at Disney?
I think it's called Disaster. It's what it used to be was where you walked in and they would pick. It was a bunch of pre-shows, and you walked in and pre-filmed all these little clips, and then they put you on this bus and they showed you all the clips that you filmed, and then you did like the final scene, which was an earthquake in a subway.
Yeah, that's station. Right. That's at Universal. I don't know what I'm talking about tonight, people. I'm getting my stuff mixed up. I'm sorry. Yeah, but I thought Jimmy Fallon took over that.
Jimmy Fallon, if I'm remembering correctly, that was Twister, and that was kind of like a walk-on too. You didn't really ride anything, but you went in and you stood on this
you stood on
stage
a platform
thing. Yeah, you stood on this like platform and you watched what it was like to like do special effects for a Twister, and they had like things fall over and like sparks and fire and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Both of which were cool. They probably needed updating. But I think I like the premise of those more, just because this is like supposed to be like a studios. Like, I mean, this is Universal Studios. Like, this was like, I mean, like their like slogan was like ride the movies. So it's like I miss that with those.
Right.
I do. And Jimmy Fallon makes me sick. Like I said, I'm going to say it a bajillion times about every single one of these. Like, people will probably wonder why I go to Universal, because I say it about every single ride at Universal. They make me sick, but I will still ride them all the time, except Jimmy Fallon. I haven't rode that one in a couple years.
Is that one 3D? Jimmy Fallon's 3D?
I don't know if you technically have 3D glasses. I honestly can't remember. You probably do. But yeah, it's kind of like Minions, where you're in a but
Oh,
it's like
okay.
one big, like everyone's on like one big platform, and you're like seated and like strapped in, and it's moving, and you're in front of a big screen, and you're supposed to be racing Jimmy Fallon, and it's a lot. It's hard.
Gotcha. It sounds like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids or something.
Yeah, but the line's cool. Like you get it's a virtual line, and then when you get in, you go into like a waiting room. But I mean, it's not like a hospital waiting room. It's like you're on like the set for like Jimmy Fallon, and then they give you like a ticket with a collar on it, and then when the room lights up that collar, it's your turn to go on the ride. So I like the line and how it's done.
Gotcha. Do you like the newborn show? Have you seen it yet?
I did. It is really good. I know it came out during the pandemic, so I really don't know if it really got the press and the praise that it deserves, but it is so good. Like a lot of it's screen as well, but it's so funny. And I mean, maybe because it was how far back I was seated, but I was like, it was hard to tell the difference between the real actors and like the screen people, the people that were just like on the screen for certain sections. So like they did that really well. And overall it was good. It's a really good show.
Right. And then they still have E.T. I'm surprised they still have that.
Yeah, I don't know if it's true. I've never found an official source, but I did hear that Steven Spielberg kind of threatened that if they ever took away E.T., that he would fight to take away the rights to like Jurassic Park and all his movies from Universal.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I have never heard that as an official statement, but that has been things that I've been told. So
So what was your favorite Halloween house this year? Halloween house.
My favorite was the Wicked Growth House, which was basically this like pumpkin house. Like you meet the pumpkin overlord, you walk into this big pumpkin patch. It's just like the epitome of like Halloween in a house. So it's like your most Halloweenish house. Like it smells like pumpkin the entire time that you're going through. And if anybody's been on social media and wonder what all the people rave about, it's Little Boo, which is a little pumpkin that is on the pumpkin arch as you're walking in. And it's just this little pumpkin that everyone has now been attached to. And his name is Little Boo. And he is from the Wicked Growth House.
Aw, cute. I went to Halloween Horror Nights. This was like Sweet 16. And this is when they still had Jaws. And we were coming out of Jaws. And you know, like the people have all the scare zones and stuff like that. And so one of the chainsaw guys was over there at the exit of Jaws. So they go on to the exit of Jaws, and we're coming out. They like rammed I heard the chainsaws before the doors even opened. And so they rammed this, and this kid just like falls down because he was so scared. This kid like falls down. I don't know, maybe he was like 12 or 13, somewhere around there. And so the guy broke character and said, "Are you okay?" Because he like fell down and scraped his knee and stuff. And he's like, "Are you okay?" And the guy like broke character. And I'm like, that's the first time I've ever seen them break character at Halloween Horror Nights.
I was gonna say I've only seen it a couple times, but overall, I am not a parent, so I can't tell people what to do with their children, but I was just like, make sure your children are ready and understand what happens at Horror Nights before you take them.
Right.
It's like, just, have an idea of what's going on at Horror Nights. And then two, I always do love that the majority of the people that are casted to be the scare actors really do care. They love their job as a scare actor. And yes, they want to scare people, but they're behind the people that are scaring you are people that care and really love what they're doing. So it's always nice to see.
What other house did you like from this year?
From this year, the Icons house was really cool. They did a full Icons house featuring all the icons for the 30th anniversary. So a lot of them, I'd started going after they really stopped using icons at each event, but through, watching YouTube and being on different forums for Halloween Horror Nights, I'd learned a lot about them. So it was nice to actually be able to see them all. I think of, none of them were bad. It's just like, it was hard, one, because I really only got to go through a lot of them once, which sucks. Usually when I get to go multiple days, I get to go through them more than I personally, a lot of people did not like it, but I really liked they every year they do a house that is based out of what they Cary, Ohio, which is a fictional town, and they based a house out of like that town. And so they did Welcome to Scary, Cary, Ohio. So we got back there like first one night, so we were the only people going through the house, so we were able to, you know, pace ourselves to get every scare. And obviously my friend and I are from Ohio, so it was like, you know, a little personal. And then since we were the only ones going through the house at the time, we were able to get all the scares. So I thought it was really good. I think you'll hear most people talk about it and didn't like this one as well. But I think that always kind of happens if you have a bad run through, and like there's always potential of having a bad run through. There's a lot of houses where I've just watched everyone in front of me get all the scares, or I hear them all happening behind me and I'm just walking there being like, nothing's popping out at me. I'm just in the wrong spot, like at the wrong time, like can't do anything about it. They did Hill House this year too. Honestly, the sets were amazing. Like they can build some sets. They can build some rooms in these houses, and they are beyond amazing. But scare-wise and like I don't want to say it's not the actor's fault. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm wishing that they had more of the main characters in the house, and they didn't. I was ready for like some good storytelling in the house.
Right.
We really just had a lot of the ghosts, and the ghosts in Hill House are very scary. So like I understand like why they were the main focus, but I was really hoping to see like the main characters, the main family as well, and see some storytelling actually happening. And they really didn't. Like the Red Room, which is very pivotal to the story of Hill House, you walked through it, but it was empty.
Interesting.
And I was just like, there's so much that happens here, and there's not a single actor in it. And I was just like, I don't know if I hit a set change or if there's just never anyone in that house. And that just was just like, that was a little disappointing.
Right.
And then they had Beetlejuice, which again, we kind of talked about Beetlejuice earlier. He's not necessarily the scariest person out there, but it is a fun house. Again, a very big house with elaborate sets. You walk through one of the bridges, or you walk through this like bridge, and it has like on Poseidon's Fury, if you ever did that one at Islands of Adventure, where it's got the spinning.
Yeah.
Well, it's got water spinning, but this one's just got like a spinning tunnel around it, and it makes you quite dizzy. But they have that through there, so I thought that was really cool that they added. Although I don't know if it's quite there, but like I said, it rained on me every single day we were there, and I almost fell in that house because like my shoes were so slip and everything was sliding. And actually that day that I was talking about that it rained so hard that all of our stuff got soaked, they actually had to weather delay that house. And I'm pretty sure it's because people were falling, because I almost fell or like the day before. So I really do think that they needed to, think about that one. Like I literally felt my 1 foot go out from under me, and I was like, oh no, like I cannot fall. I was like, there's so many people around, like not like even being embarrassed. It's just like that you're packed in these houses. I was like, I literally could knock someone else over. I was like, I don't want to hurt a scare actor. I don't want to hurt the people in front of me or behind me. Like I don't want to hurt myself like either. Like none of that.
One of my favorite. Go ahead.
Then I was going to say the Bride of Frankenstein. I love this house. This is one they actually opened up last year for people to go through during the day when they couldn't do horror nights. And I loved it then, and I loved it now. It was the same thing, which is fine. It was meant to be there for the 30th. And it still held up. Even me going through it 2 years in a row, it's still one of my favorites.
Nice. Yeah, I have not seen that house. I haven't gone this year yet, or I didn't go last year. I haven't gone in a couple of years actually, but one of my favorite houses though was they had a Silent Hill house one year, and that was really cool.
Nice. It's like
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. I think my all-time favorite house will probably always be the Poltergeist house that they had in
Oh yeah.
2018. That
That
one was,
house was really cool.
it was just perfect. Like you felt like you were going through the entire house. Like you felt like you were in that house with them. Like that was everything that I kind of wanted Hill House to be. I mean, you had, the scare factors and you had the storytelling from like the characters that were in the movie. Like it
Right.
was perfect.
Right. Another one of my favorite houses was they had the Edgar Allan Poe house, and that was really cool.
Yeah, I never saw that one, but I always hear you talk about it with such high praise, and then I've seen it on forums and stuff too, and people always talk about that one.
I think they should bring it back. I think that's what the movie is based off of as well. The movie The Raven that has John Cusack in it.
Okay.
I think it's based off that house or whatever. But it was really cool though. And that was like one of the houses that was like I was like scared and I like was jumping.
Yeah, they one I will always be sad I missed was The Shining. I've seen videos of that one that they did, and it looked amazing. Again, it kind of had the same thing, scare factors and storytelling, that I'm just wishing that Hill House had. I'm still forever going to be disappointed about it. We did walk through it in Hollywood as well. It was not made in a soundstage at Hollywood, so it was a bit smaller, but they did have a bit more storytelling in it. They still didn't have a lot of the characters, but they did have the mom and stuff, so it helped more.
Right. What kind of scare zones did they have this year?
They had Eddie's Revenge. So Eddie is Jack the Clown's brother, and he was making movies, and it was kind of showing, it had little stages throughout there that kind of like represented old scare zones from previous years. So like it was kind of nice little flashbacks to previous scare zones. They had Crypt TV, which is like a small network out of Oregon, and they do a lot of videos a lot of series on YouTube and Facebook that are pretty good. I think a lot of people have mixed reviews, but honestly, they're good. One of my favorites is, they didn't have it represented in the scare zone, which I was sad, but one of my favorites is The Birch, which is a series that they did on Facebook. The first season was really good. The second season, I think they were trying to wrap things up, and I was just like, I would have been fine with just the first season, honestly. But sometimes I think you just gotta know when to quit. But when it was so successful, that's what people do, is make another season. So I do understand it. Then they had their anniversary section at the front, which was just, I don't know, it didn't fully it's got pictures and like signage of all the icons, but there's no icons in it. It's just like dancers and people, stilt walkers. And then, oh my gosh, the last two. One, oh my gosh, I gotta see if I can find their names. The one is kind of like an invasion. So it's like these people in red suits have like taken over. It looks like there's helicopters around, and they've got like spotlights going down on the streets. And then there's people running around that were like captured. So it's really cool. And then they have one that kind of looks, you're not necessarily underwater. I don't. And it had a lot of good stairs. There was a lot of like little like nests aren't the right word, but like it had people jumping out, and they had like really good costumes. So
interesting.
It was, come on. Yeah. Seek and Destroy it's a alien regime that is coming down to take over New York. So it is in like the New York section. And there's like people running around that are that are supposed to be like captured by these people, and they're trying to find help. And then it is Gorewood Forest. And I guess she doesn't look like I guess it's not underwater, but the lady that's like
Right.
always right out front, she kind of looks, I don't know, she looks like she has gills to me, but apparently not. Like,
Right.
I was like it really doesn't make sense. The rest of the house, like the rest of the
Right.
scared zone is definitely not underwater, but she looks like she has gills
Right.
to me.
Right. I remember they used to do the like couple years that I went, they also had the Fear of the Walking Dead like scare zones.
Oh, cool. I've never
And
seen. They have
and,
no.
and that was kind of cool to see like zombies walking around scaring you and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's like I've never been when they had The Walking Dead, but they did have Zombieland 2 years ago,
Right.
2019.
I've never seen Fear of the Walking Dead. Everybody says I should watch it, but I've never seen it.
I
So
haven't either.
I know what it is. I've just never seen it. And they're like, people are like surprised when I tell them that. They're like, you're a show buff and a movie buff. You have not seen that? I'm like, no, I guess I'm just not into it. I don't know.
I was like, there's just too much media to consume it all. I try, but
Yeah, exactly.
there's just too much.
Exactly. So if you could turn any horror movie into a house, what would you like to see?
Oh, I should have thought of this earlier.
I put you on the spot.
I know you did. They've done so many good ones that I'm just so happy that they've done, even if I didn't get through them. I would love to see it, which I know Warner Brothers did kind of like their own thing. In Hollywood, they used on the Warner Brothers studio, they used to do Horror Made Here, and they did their own little It house, which is quite different than what the Universal houses are. So I probably will never get that, but I do think, again, it could be very elaborate. It could be very large. The new Halloween movies would be awesome as well. Again, they've done Halloween in the past or different Halloweens movies. And Hollywood, for some reason, the last two in 2018 and this year, they did Halloween 4, which
that's not even the good one.
I know. And the only thing that pops out of you is Michael, which one, I get, he is the only antagonist through the movie. Two, I kind of like that it gives you that feel that you're like in the movie. So it's like people like in the movie, you know, they can't get away from Michael. Like he's not letting you go. So that's kind of what it gives you, that feel is like you can't get away from Michael. You're not getting away from Michael. So even though it's only him popping out, it's I still like it, and I do think that there's an opportunity. Like when they do IPs, I want them to tell the story of the movie. So like I was like, I want to get scared. I want to be in the movie with these houses. So that's why I'm always in like storytelling. I was like, and I for some reason I do think sometimes they lack, and I was like, sometimes it's just hard. Like sometimes the stories cannot translate into one little maze, so it's hard. Which I do think was the kind of the downfall with Hill House. I keep bringing it back up because it's such there are some people that really loved it, and so like if you loved it, I mean, I am not taking anything away because I'm wishing that I was one of those people. It just wasn't what I expected from this house. Like,
but everybody has their own opinions. Don't let somebody else's opinion change you, you know, no matter what. Just like people were fighting over like people were saying you can't feel this way about Harmonious or Enchantment. You can't feel a certain way. And they were fighting over it. And I'm like, people have a right to their own opinion. Why would you be fighting over it? You have a right to your own opinion. If you feel that way, then just say your opinion and nobody else can judge you for it. And that's that, you know?
Yeah. I have like, I don't know if I've talked about it on any of your shows, but I was like, those shows I'm definitely waiting to see in person. I did watch a little bit of a breakdown of a Harmonious, and it was even a person that was criticizing it like decently hard. And even as they were criticizing it, I'm like, I think I'm gonna like this show. Like I'm like, I don't know, like everything you're saying, I'm fine with. Like
I've watched both of them, and I could tell you, I prefer Harmonious over Enchantment. I thought Enchantment was going to be like Disneyland, where the fireworks show, I know in Disneyland, the projections off of, It's a Small World. And and I thought it was going to be something similar to that, and it wasn't. And I liked the song. Don't get me wrong, I like the songs, but I don't know. Like, I just didn't think the fireworks were that great. I liked Harmonious better.
I was gonna say I've heard a lot of things about the fireworks and Enchantment. I have seen pictures of the projections and they look beautiful, but I don't really want. Unless
Right.
I'm like somehow forced to, or I'm just not gonna be able to make a soon enough trip to like really see them. Then I will probably watch them online. But right now I'm trying to hold out until I can get there in person to
Right.
see them. But I
Right.
have seen photos of the projections, and the photos I've seen are beautiful. I have heard the criticism about the fireworks that there's just it's not as big, which kind of sucks. It is the the
Right.
50th. Like I'm expecting, this. I mean, I even as a little kid, I was like, I love Disney fireworks. Like, I mean,
Right.
the
Who
first set
doesn't?
of Disney fireworks I saw were at Disneyland, so they probably weren't even as big as what they are at Disney World. Or they definitely. I mean,
Right.
I don't have enough memory of that time because we went to Disney World like within like the next year or two, and I was like, do I remember which ones were bigger? No, I was just floored by Disney fireworks the entire time I was there as a
Right.
child. Like, and then
Right.
as an adult, I went back and I really started going back to Walt Disney World, um, kind of right after Happily Ever After started. So that is like my show. I
Right.
watched it on my very first solo trip. I met friends through the watching that show. It was very pivotal in like times of my life that was changing. So like that is a show that's always going to be personal to me. But I was like, I
Right.
even told myself, I was like, I will not pass any judgment on Enchantment until I see it. I was like, I
Right.
know Happily Ever After is personal to me, but I was like, if they're replacing it, they know what they did with Happily Ever After. They
Right.
know how successful that was, and I was like, they can match that. Like, there's no question that they can't. Like, so
Right.
I am holding out complete hope, and I will go in with a complete open mind, and I'm ready to see it. Like,
Right, yeah. And people were like dumping about it and like telling people you can't have that opinion that you don't like it or something. And I'm like, that's not even Disney people. Like, okay,
right?
yeah, everybody knows on this podcast that I'm a huge Disney fan, but yeah, I like Universal and I like everything, really. But at the same time, I have the right to my own opinion. And if you
Exactly.
don't like it, then don't listen or don't listen to what I have to say or whatever,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
like people were fighting over merchandise. Did you hear about
Oh
that?
my gosh, it's insane. I wasn't even like, and I don't think anyone was fighting the day I was there, but I was like, there was 50th merchandise out, and my friend and I went in like an hour before the park even closed, and it was a madhouse. And then, yeah, then I saw the videos of people like fighting over merch on the October 1st. And I was like, that's too much. Like, there was a full reason that I made sure that I did not go the first week or the first
Right.
day or the first week.
Right.
Like, I was like,
Right.
I don't do big crowds. I mean, Disney is always crowded anymore, but I was like, I try my best to go during quote
Right.
unquote like off seasons or
Me
weekdays,
too.
off seasons of weekdays on off seasons, like weekdays in
Me
February,
too. Right.
weekdays like the first week of November, weekdays in mid-September. Those are when I go because I try to avoid crowds as
Right.
much as you can.
Right. And I just think like some of that Disney magic that they have is actually going away with people fighting. Like people were fighting on the ferry boat a couple weeks ago and I was like, really?
And people are fighting in the parks, people fighting on Twitter, people, it's just like,
Like
and I was like, and then I see people complaining that other people are complaining, and I'm just like, this is exhausting.
right.
Like,
And it kind of loses the Disney magic.
it does.
Because like why would somebody want to go to a park if there's people fighting? You don't hear people fighting at Universal too much, do you? I have
Sometimes,
not heard
I mean, sometimes
anything.
you see random fights, but like Universal, I mean, I just don't think I love Universal, but I don't think they have quite the passionate fans that they have at Disney that as Disney has built, which
Right.
helps with some of the criticisms at times. Because I was like, when you become so passionate,
Right.
you then become very critical when things are not the way that you want it. And I do get
Right.
it to a stance, but you know, they can't please everyone on everything.
Right.
Like everyone's gonna have their own preferences. But yeah, I was like, one thing I have realized, because there isn't quite that passion for Universal. I don't know. I think I have that passion for Universal, but I was
I
like,
like
it's kind of free of some of the
right.
criticism and some of the fighting that you would get.
I like Universal because I'm a huge Harry Potter fan, but at the
Mhm.
same time, I'm a Disney fan too. So I'm like kind of like people will ask, "Oh, what do you like more?" I'm okay. So in my heart, I love Disney because I'm a Disney person, but at the same time, I also love Harry Potter. But I like Disney a little more just because I grew up with Disney more than Universal. I mean, like I
Yeah.
used to go to both, but I just grew up with Disney a little bit more, and I can relate to more of the characters than Universal characters.
Yeah. And I
You
was like,
know,
there's a lot of Universal properties that I like. I mean, I love Jurassic Park. I love E.T.
right? Those are like the classics.
Yeah, I was like, I mean, there's so much. I'm always sad that Jaws is gone, but I mean, it gave me Diagon Alley, which is one of my absolute favorites.
Oh,
So it's, I
right,
guess I was like, as since it gave me that, I'm okay about it, but I'm still sad.
right.
Like, I will forever be sad
Oh,
that I missed seeing Back to the Future and the
right.
Alfred Hitchcock
Hmm.
theater area. That's
I
now
missed that
Shrek.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Shrek 40, I like better than It's Tough to Be a Bug. That's a hot take for you.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't know. I like Shrek 4D. I have not actually been on Tough to Be a Bug since I was a child, so honestly, I can't give
Well,
too many opinions about it.
the only
Um,
reason why is because I don't like getting stung in the back. Oops.
oh yeah,
And I don't like at the end where they're like where the critters are like on your butt. I don't like that.
okay. That's the only part I really remember like vividly. Is the little bugs at the
So I
end.
like Shrek 40 better. That's a hot take for you.
Yeah, that is.
Oh, I forgot to ask you. Do you like the new King Kong ride?
I do. It has better graphics than Fast and Furious. Um, it really gives you. There's a lot of parts where you're falling and you're swinging, and like Kong is like on top of the car, and like I mean, they did really well with all of those
Right.
effects. And then I know it's only like half an animatronic of like Kong at the end, but it's so good. It's like
Right.
one of the best animatronics like out there.
Right.
It is so good. It doesn't move a lot, but I mean it looks so good. So
Right.
it's like, I mean, I guess there's a few criticisms, but for the sheer size of it, it is what it is, and it has to be that. And I'm here.
Right.
I'm still okay with that. I am okay.
Right. I remember when they had Kong in the 90s, before they built this Kong, they used to have another Kong. And I remember like going on that ride. It smelled like bananas and stuff when you walked in there.
Yes.
And it was kind of like this. I haven't been on the new King Kong ride. I was up there like a month before it opened. So I didn't get the chance to see the new King Kong ride, but it looked really cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
And this one was in Universal, not Islands of Adventure. Now it's in Islands of Adventure, but in the 90s it was in the Universal part.
Yeah, I was like, I never got to experience that one. But and honestly, I feel like such a bad Universal fan. I did not know about the first Kong ride until the anniversary last year, when all the anniversary merch came out for Universal and it had Kong on, and I was like, this seems odd because it's like all the classic rides, and then I looked it up and I realized that there was a Kong ride before the new one. And I was like,
yeah,
oh.
it used to be in the it used to be in like the New York section, where the New York section is now. It used to be over there. I think it used to be like maybe where Red Rocket is, or where that like poster, or it's not really a poster. I don't know what to call it, but where like the streets are of New York, that's where it used to be. Okay. Right there next to where the subway is.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yep.
I think the subway is actually part of the Kong ride from the old days. I could be wrong, but I think because that's where I remember it being.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I have nothing to add, so I don't know, but I feel like I have to look that up now because I'm going to be curious.
Do you miss Fear Factor? Do you miss that?
I only watched it a couple times. It's one of those things where it was nice to sit down. It was kind of fun to watch, but I'm not devastated. if it never comes back. And if they can add something bigger to that space, I'm 100% here for it.
Maybe they'll add a new show or something. Maybe they'll figure out a new show or something.
Yeah. It was like a lot of people, I don't know if it's just because it's been there so long, a lot of people have criticisms on it. And I was like, I don't really have any criticisms about it, but it's not like personally I'm like down and I have to see it every trip. If I'm tired and want to go sit down and timing's right, I'll sit down and watch it and relax. And
I haven't been to Universal in so long. Do they have other shows besides that one?
They have the Fear Factor. They have the Animal Actors show, and
don't they have that kids show?
The horror makeup show. They do not have the Barney show anymore, but they do. They started a new DreamWorks like dance show. I don't even know if it's a show. It's kind of, going around like character meet and greets for COVID. So they took all of the DreamWorks characters and they do a little dance party type thing. I haven't seen it. I've seen a couple videos of it, and it's fairly new, within probably the last couple of months or so.
Right.
And then I think those are really all the sit down shows. And then they have like the little street performers around. There's different performers and shows, short shows, and like the Wizarding World sections in both Hogsmeade and Diagon Alley. And but yeah, as of sit down shows, I think it's really
that's it.
I was like Animal Actors, horror makeup show, the Bourne show. We kind of talked about that one already.
Yeah.
Which is very good.
Yeah,
I think that's.
And then I also really like at Universal. I like some of their food places. I didn't realize that 2 of the food places have the same food. I was like, oh, that's interesting.
I always complain about Universal food. They are getting better. They are. And it's kind of funny. There's a lot of places that just serve Italian food, and it's like, sad pasta on a plate and some pizza that's very expensive. And then there's like the burger places that are your typical theme park burgers at like 4 different locations around the park. But it's all themed different. So if you want a burger in Marvel, or if you want a burger at Mel's Diner, or it was like, or if you want pasta in Marvel, or if you want pasta in Dr. Seuss, but they are getting better with like some of their theme food. They have the Who Hash now. That
sounds good.
Yeah, and you can even get it in like a Who Hash can. I have not got it, but I was like, they have like a green egg. It's all like tater tots. And then like with different things, there's like a pizza tots, kind of off like the pizza fries from Horror Nights, and then a green egg and ham tots. And then there's 1 or 2 others that I don't know because I always get pizza tots. So and then they opened a new crepe place that's pretty decent. I think they're a little stingy with the toppings or the stuff that goes in it, but that kind of happens at theme parks. You pay a lot for not so much food. Finnegan's is a favorite of pretty much every annual pass holder. Mostly, I think, because of the bar more than the food, but hey. Wizarding World has a lot of good food.
I like the food there.
Yeah, I was like, I pretty much opt to eat in Wizarding World. I also they opened like the Today Show Cafe right in the front of Universal Studios. And it's got like souped up deli sandwiches and stuff. And honestly, it's pretty good. Everything's always been like fresh and good when I've ate there. Trying to think. That's the bulk, and then obviously you got your typical snacks around every section. I don't know if there's any more like themed.
I usually see, because I don't really like Universal food. It's nothing against their food, but I usually just go to City Walk and just eat there.
Yeah,
Because they have,
honestly, I recommend it.
they have like better restaurants, I think, in my opinion. And sometimes you can just find me just sitting at Margaritaville drinking a margarita.
Yeah, it's so close too. Like, I mean, you're not walking that far
Right.
off to get to City Walk.
Right.
And yeah, you're going to get much better quality food.
I
That is
used
one thing. I was like, you'll always hear me praise Universal for the majority of their stuff, even when people are hypercritical, but I will always criticize their food. They,
Right.
like I said, they are getting better. On Islands of Adventure side, definitely still needs a little work. I'm not gonna lie,
Right.
they need to start opening up
Right.
some new stuff, retheming some of their restaurants. But the
Right.
Universal side, they're getting better. They've got the Today Show Cafe, the Crepe Place, the Wizarding World. You can find some food, but
Well, it's because we fancy people. We go to Disney and eat food.
I know. I was like, and then I was like Disney, and then honestly for me, Disneyland is pinnacle on like, top tier theme park food, which
I haven't been there, but I heard the Monte Cristo's really good.
So good. I was like, I don't even know if I should call it theme park food. I feel like that's kind of, downgrading their food. But
Okay.
I was like, yeah, Disney has so much good food. And then you go to Universal and they half of their restaurants are literally typical theme park food. And I was like, get it together.
Right.
You gotta do better.
Right. That's why I said we fancy. We go to Disney and eat, or we go to City Walk and eat. I remember going to City Walk and always going to Fat Tuesdays, but I don't think they have it anymore. It's upstairs.
Yeah. I know I've been, and honestly, I haven't looked, so I really don't know. But I've definitely used to get drinks there all the time, so I'm not sure.
I did too. That's what I've heard. We were at a bachelorette party, and one of my friends wanted to take it on the taxi, and I'm like, don't do that. And the security guard's like, you can't walk out with that. Next thing I know, she shoved it in her purse and walked out of Universal. I was like, oh my God, you're going to get us in trouble. And like, she took the drink and the cab and everything. I'm like, oh my God, this is like years and years ago. This is like 10 years ago. And I'm like, oh my God, you're going to get us in trouble.
I know, they always stop, they'll stop people from leaving the theme park with drinks. And then if you get drinks in City Walk, they stop you before you get on the walkways to the parking garage. Yeah. And then when you're entering the park after, I think it's 4 or 5, you're not allowed to bring any open liquid container. So I always bring a reusable water bottle. You can't have it full when you go in that late because they think you're sneaking in alcohol. Apparently no one sneaks in alcohol at 9 a.m. just after 4 or 5 p.m. That's when people decide they're going to do that. I was like, I get it. It's later in the night. More people are probably more prone to doing it. But I was like, you can tell me that 0 people do this in the mornings.
I'm sure they do.
Right?
They just hide it in their jacket and their backpack.
Yeah. So I was like, so yeah, you don't make me dump out my water bottle at 9 a.m., but you do it 4.
Right. Did you get to see the overlay of the Haunted Mansion to Nightmare Before Christmas?
I did. Actually, I feel like this year during the summer was the first time that I rode Haunted Mansion in its regular form at Disneyland since I was a child, because I always go during Halloween or Christmas time to Disneyland, and it's always Nightmare Before Christmas, which honestly, it's a great overlay. I'm pretty average on The Nightmare Before Christmas as a movie. I know a lot of people really like it, really find it as a classic cult following. And I'm pretty on it. I'll watch it. Right. Mostly if someone else wants to watch it, I'll be like, yeah, I'll watch it. But
it's not your favorite.
Or if it's on TV and but now with streaming, I'm not normally choosing to turn it on, even during the holidays. And it's not that it's necessarily a bad movie by any means. It's just, it's not in the top that I'm going to pick to watch. But overall, they do a great job with the overlay. It's so good. They put in so many details. During the ballroom scene in the Haunted Mansion, they build a giant gingerbread house. Thank you. And it smells like gingerbread through the whole thing, so it's cool. But I do like that it has all the detail, and it's just like a fun, colorful house when it's The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Right. Did you get a chance to go on Remy's ride yet? I forgot to ask you.
I have not. They were still doing pass holder previews. I did become an annual pass holder while I was there, but I couldn't get a preview ride. So hopefully the next time I go back, I know they're doing virtual queue, so gotta get on it. I've been pretty lucky with Rise and Web Slingers, so hopefully my luck will continue to be able to get on Remy's.
Did you like Mission Breakout when you went on it?
I absolutely love Mission Breakout. And then for the Halloween time, at nighttime, they do a special overlay called Monsters After Dark. And I do not remember it being so intense. I mean, obviously it's a drop ride. It's the same as Tower if people are only on the East Coast. Sorry, but it's longer. And themes to Guardians of the Galaxy. And then Monsters After Dark takes place right after the story of the normal Guardians of the Galaxy ride. So you're trying to now rescue Groot from all the monsters that you set loose while you're trying to rescue everyone else. And it is intense. Like, you are dropping hard. I was like fully out of my seat. My backpack, I sat on the floor and it flew up and I caught it. Wow. Like, you drop hard and fast on this ride.
Wow. And which Space Mountain do you like better, Hyperspace Mountain or regular Space Mountain?
I like Hyperspace Mountain.
That's the Star Wars themed one, right?
That's Star Wars theme. I'm sad because I was hoping, since I was there I've been there during Halloween like the last 2 years, 2 years, and I've not got to witness their Ghost Galaxy, which is a Halloween overlay that they normally do, but I have not seen it yet. I know there's there's a ghost, and I think it's darker. I don't know if they turn out all the lights, or I'm not even fully sure, but I've heard good things about it and I've never got to witness it. But I do like the Hyperspace Mountain. You see X-Wings and TIE fighters flying by. You've got the Star Wars music, so it's fun.
That's a lot of fun. That sounds like fun. I always want to go on the Manahorn. I want to go on that one.
I like it. Don't get me wrong. I do like it, but it's an opening day attraction. It's a rough ride. It hurts. It hurts a little bit. It's a little, you can tell it's an older ride, which is fine. I'm glad that it keeps the character and they're not like, changing things. There's something special about having those older rides.
Yeah, my friend was there and she was live and she rode that ride and she's like, ow, and I could hear her the whole time.
Yeah, it's you get your back rearranged on that ride.
What do you think of Mickey's and Minnie Runaway Railroad going over there in Toontown?
I'm really happy. I like Toontown, and I think the main reason I like Toontown is because it is like the bulk of my memory of my childhood trip to Disneyland. So I always will have a little special place in my heart for Toontown, but it's definitely lacking in what it has to offer. I mean, obviously you got characters and you spend a lot of time, visiting the characters, exploring their houses and walking around, but it's the perfect addition. I was like, when you have the only ride that's got Mickey and Minnie in it, it needs to be in Toontown, so it's the perfect addition.
What do you think of the Roger Rabbit ride at Disneyland?
I like it. I did not actually ride this ride unless I rode it as a child and I don't remember it. I did not ride this ride until my trip this past summer. There we go. And I am a short person and my knees like hit the top of the car. So I don't know how anyone tall rides this ride. I am 5'4" and my knees hit. So for anyone that is taller than 5'4" or has longer legs, it's a little squished, but overall it's a fun ride. I remember sitting down and hitting my knees and I was like, I am not tall. This shouldn't be happening.
I heard that that they are actually putting Jessica Rabbit as the main character now.
Yeah, they're retheming. I need to fully look into exactly what they're doing, but yeah, they're retheming a bit, which I think is going to be fun. I mean, I like Jessica Rabbit, so I'm here for it.
I do too. And then I also heard today on the news that Disney's bringing back, you can meet characters and stuff now.
Yeah, I don't know if that's happening at Disneyland yet, but I definitely was hearing that they were doing that for Walt Disney World, and I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm not a big character person, but honestly, having this last nearly 2 years now, over a year and a half, of not like getting to really meet characters has been sad. I was like, I barely meet face characters because I'm terrible at keeping conversations. So I'm just like, I'll go meet Chewbacca and give hugs. And I was like, I would kill to give Chewbacca a hug again.
Right. I think what happened with the pandemic, what happened is we got so like used to doing everything, and then we got kind of like, after being like quarantined and everything, and we couldn't go see our friends or anything like that. I think we took it all for granted, what we used to have until now, and now you cherish everything.
Yeah, you really do. And it's kind of one of those things where I'm like, yeah, I'd go meet a princess even though I'm scared to death, and I'm just always like, hi.
Right.
I guess we'll take a photo now. All right, bye.
Right.
That is the extent of my favorite character meet and greets.
Right.
Because
I normally give them a hug. I normally give them a hug, especially Tinkerbell, because she's my favorite character. But I normally say hi and give them a hug, and then I'm like, okay, let's take the picture now, because I know there's people behind me that want to take pictures. So
yeah,
I'm just like, let's go. Come on. But I love the interaction with Kylo Ren.
Yes, I was like, Kylo's fun. He controls the interaction, so it's fine. Like that, I can take. It doesn't. Yeah. It's not relied on me as much. I like meeting characters like, oh my gosh, like Chewbacca and Baymax and Stitch. I get lots of what did I meet? I met Elvis Stitch at one of the Halloween parties.
Oh, that's a lot of fun. Right. Yeah, and then I can't wait to go, because I haven't been to Galaxy's Edge yet, and I can't wait to go to Galaxy's Edge and interact with like Rey and stuff like that.
Yes. I know she's always fun. She's like running through the crowd trying to hide. And I just remember one time she was like ducking like down behind guests. And I only got to peek at him once, but I was like, they had R2-D2 out. I don't know if he's still coming out as much or if at all anymore, but he was out before the pandemic a bit. And
that's really cool.
Yeah, I'm ready for all of that to get back.
Which Galaxy's Edge do you like better?
I really don't see much of a difference between the one in California or the one in Florida. So honestly, they're
both the same.
I'm pretty sure they're the exact same. Maybe the entrance is a little different just because of the way the parks are, made. But overall, everything's the same.
I know you're. What do you think about the hotel, the Star Wars hotel?
Oh, I guess the one difference is that Disneyland's does not serve alcohol in the blue and green milk because they're pretty against alcohol at Disneyland, unless you're sitting down. They do have the cantina, so you can still go get alcohol at the cantina. There's no like walking around with alcohol in Disneyland.
Interesting.
So I guess that's one of the big differences. Right. The Star Wars Hotel is something that I'm also trying to be open-minded to and optimistic about. I've told my mom that her and I are definitely going at some point. It's like one of those things where I would normally like how I talked about like Harmonious and Enchantment. I'm one of those people that want to experience it firsthand, like with my own eyes. But for the price of Star Wars, I need more information. I was like, it is way too hard for me to say that I'm going to fork out $5,000 and me not actually know if it's really worth it. So it's too much of an expense for me to go in surprised, which is sad to me because I would love to go into surprised. But it's too much of an expense for that. So I will be definitely watching and seeing what people do when it first opens and seeing how it is and reading reviews and making my decision from there. But I am holding out every single bit of hope that it is going to be everything that it says it's going to be because I want it to be.
Me too. And I don't want to try the blue shrimp. I'll find something else. There's something about that blue shrimp.
Yeah, I have like a 5-year-old palate, so The food's gonna be interesting.
Right. I'm sure you could probably get something off the kids menu.
I might have to. I don't know. I can be adventurous, but there's a lot of limits on the food that I eat. So we'll see.
But I was like, when it first came out, I was like, who's gonna eat this blue shrimp? It looks like it's been in Gatorade or something.
I'm sure every vlogger will. So I guess I'll know how it tastes before I get there.
Right. I just want to see. I might go like a year after or 2 years after it's been, just because I want to get the most reviews out of it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely something I'm holding off on. Like, I will not be the first to book, but unless it's really bad.
Right.
Like, that's like the one thing is like, I'm sitting here saying that I'm holding off until I see reviews, but I was like, they're gonna have to be really, really bad reviews for me not to go. But I'm still just a bit too hesitant to like say that I would book like as soon as I could without seeing reviews.
Right, yeah. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. We talked a little bit about Universal, Halloween Horror Nights, and Disney. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Where can everybody find you, Breanna?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at Breanna_K, KAE7. And then I also co-host a Disney podcast called Walt's Apartment. And you can find us anywhere that you listen to podcasts under Walt's Apartment. We have multiple episodes that come out a week. We have The Marvel Tribe, which is a Marvel-based podcast. Usually comes out every other Monday. Walt's Apartment comes out as a live stream on Facebook every Wednesday and as an audio version if you can't make it to the live stream. And every other Friday, we have an Extra Magic Hour, which is a parks-based podcast.
And then you guys know where to find me. You can find me on Instagram, Popping the Popcorn, or Facebook groups, Popping the Popcorn. And you can, if you want to support the show, you can also find me on Patreon. / Popping the Popcorn, and I would like to thank Amy and Dana from the Run Eat Drink podcast, and Josh. Well, I hope you guys have a great night. Thank you. Have a great week.
Bye.
Bye.